November 17, 1978, a United States congressman lands in the jungles of Guyana. He has come to investigate reports of abuse, of people being held against their will, of something deeply wrong happening inside a settlement called Jonestown. When he arrives, he finds a community that looks, on the surface, almost like paradise. Music, food, people who seem happy. He decides to stay the night. 24 hours later, he is dead, shot on an airstrip trying to leave. And 918 people, one-third of them children, are lying dead in the jungle. What happened inside Jonestown is one of the most studied cases of mass psychology in human history, and we still don't fully understand how it was possible. Jim Jones did not start as a monster. He started as a preacher in Indianapolis in the 1950s. His congregation was one of the first racially integrated churches in the city, genuinely progressive for the time. He preached against racism, against poverty. He fed people. He housed people. He claimed to heal the sick. By the 1960s, he had thousands of followers. Politicians courted him. California Governor Jerry Brown attended his dinners. The First Lady met with him several times, but behind the public image, something else entirely was happening. Members were being blackmailed, beaten, humiliated, coerced into signing over their homes and savings to the church. Black members were told that if they ever left, they would be rounded up into government concentration camps. Families were separated. Members were encouraged to report on each other, and Jones himself held late-night meetings where he made his followers rehearse their own deaths. He called them white night drills. Practice runs for a mass suicide. Most followers believed they were tests of loyalty. They were not. In 1977, as press investigations into the People's Temple began to close in, Jones moved nearly 1,000 followers to a remote compound he had been building for years in the jungles of Guyana. He called it Jonestown. He promised them a socialist paradise, free from racism, free from oppression, a utopia carved out of the jungle. What they found when they arrived was nothing like that. The land was not suitable for farming. Food had to be imported and was strictly rationed. Passports were confiscated on arrival. Letters home were censored before they were sent. Armed guards patrolled the perimeter. Jones, now heavily addicted to prescription drugs, became increasingly paranoid and erratic. He held meetings that lasted through the night. He broadcast his voice over loudspeakers at all hours across the compound, and the white night drills continued. Hundreds of people lining up in the dark, drinking what Jones told them was poison, waiting to die, then being told it was a test. By the time Congressman Leo Ryan arrived in November 1978, Jonestown had become something unrecognizable from what its members had been promised. Ryan's visit started well. Jones welcomed him with a dinner and entertainment. Members performed, smiled, answered questions. But during the night, a note was passed to Ryan's team, slipped quietly into a journalist's hand. It read, "Please help us get out of Jonestown." The next morning, 14 members asked to leave with Ryan. Jones watched them go, and something in him broke. As Ryan's party reached the airstrip to board their planes, gunmen sent by Jones ambushed them on the runway. 5 people were killed, including the congressman. Back in Jonestown, Jones called everyone to the central pavilion. He told them the time had come, that their enemies were closing in, that the only way out was together. A cyanide-laced fruit drink was prepared in large vats. Children were given it first, injected by needles when they refused to drink. Armed guards surrounded those who hesitated. It was over in less than an hour. Here is what the Jonestown case demands we ask. How does a man with no theological training, no credentials, no authority beyond his own words, convince nearly 1,000 people to follow him to a jungle and die? The answer is not that his followers were weak, or naive, or stupid. Research into Jonestown consistently shows that the psychological techniques Jones used, isolation, sleep deprivation, controlled information, manufactured dependency, work on almost anyone under the right conditions, which is perhaps the most unsettling conclusion of all the research done on this case. It wasn't that Jonestown was full of people who couldn't think for themselves. It was that Jim Jones created conditions where thinking for yourself became almost impossible. That is not a historical footnote. That is a warning. 918 people died in Jonestown. 304 of them were children. Subscribe to Echoes and Angle. We cover the cases that leave questions long after the facts have been established. The next case drops Friday, and I promise you, it starts somewhere you would never expect. End card subscribe plus links to videos 1 to 5.